Okay, welcome into this video. We're going to be showing you a new feature in Eddy, which is role-based pay. And role-based pay is a feature that both admins and employees will love because it will enable employees to clock in to different positions which have different pay rates. And I will show you an example of that in just a second. But just for context, I'm logged into this company, Circle Enterprises, which for this example will be a restaurant company. And I'm logged in here as Mike Jones, who is the owner and has owner and HR admin permissions. Now I'm going to go over to my People tab and I'm going to bring up Dennis Johnson. So Dennis Johnson works in our restaurant and he is currently a host, so he welcomes people in. But Dennis is taking on more and more responsibility. And with that, we need to be a little more flexible with his pay rates because Dennis now doesn't only do hosting for us, but sometimes he acts as a waiter or a server, and we've even had Dennis work in the back as a chef. But currently, when he clocks in, all of his time is being clocked at his host pay rate of $9.75 an hour. And this new feature in Eddy, this role-based pay feature, is going to allow us to change that so that he can clock in for a different position which has a different pay rate. Now, to do this, an employee has to be eligible for role-based pay, an employee has to meet two criteria. The first, they need to be on a time tracking policy which allows them to clock in and clock out. The second criteria is they need to be paid hourly. Salary employees are not eligible for role-based pay. So Dennis here meets these two criteria, and because of that, an HR admin or owner who can view and edit pay will see on his compensation card this settings icon. And if I click on this settings icon, I'll get a message that says, employee compensation for hourly workers can have the option to pay employees different rates when they clock in for different positions. When multiple pay rates is enabled, you must define the employee's positions and pay rates for each position. So what this means is right now I just have a single job title for Dennis, which is host, and that has a single pay rate, which is $9.75 an hour. By enabling multiple pay rates, I will be able to give him multiple positions, and each one of those will have its own pay rate. So let's explore that by clicking on the button, and we land on this page which will allow me to add multiple pay rates for this employee. Now the first is the primary pay rate. So like I mentioned, Dennis's primary job is as a host, and so I'm going to put in his primary rate title, host, and then you can see his compensation is locked in right next to it. Now you'll notice when I click this drop down, I already had a bunch of options in my menu. When you first do this, this will be blank and your only option will be to add a pay rate title. You'll just click that option and then you can type anything you'd like in the box, give the pay rate a title, and then add it. And you'll be able to add these yourself. Now, as I mentioned, Dennis does more than just host. He often is a chef, and when he's a chef, he makes $15 an hour. And sometimes he is a waiter, and when he waits tables, he makes $10 an hour. And occasionally, he will even do dishwashing. And when he is a dishwasher, he makes $8 an hour. So I'm able to assign Dennis multiple positions and give them variable pay rates. And then I'm going to go ahead and click this Add Pay Rates button. And now, if you look on the compensation card for Dennis, it doesn't just have his primary rate, but the other titles that he occasionally works in as well. And when he clocks in for those roles, the hourly rates he'll be paid for those clock-ins. Now, for example, if Dennis no longer did any dishwashing duty, we would come down to this link, Manage Pay Rates, and you'll notice that each of these pay rates has this toggle which enables or disables the pay rate. So I could come down to dishwasher and disable the dishwasher pay rate, and now Dennis would no longer be able to log in as a dishwasher. I can also change his primary title. For example, if his waiter title actually became his primary, I can click Set as Primary, and you'll notice that the waiter pops up here. I'm going to go ahead and close that. So now on my compensation card, I have waiter as primary, dishwasher is no longer here, but Dennis can also clock in as a host or a chef. If you at any time wanted to change the hourly rates for these different positions, you just click into it and you get a pencil icon here, and you could edit and add a new pay rate for the employee. If for whatever reason you wanted to turn off multiple pay rates and just enable the worker to only clock into a single title like they had beforehand, you click on this again and you'd be able to archive your additional pay rates. So now that we've seen how Dennis can log in and clock into 3 different compensation roles, let's look at how this works in action. So I'm going to log out of this account, and then I'm going to log in as Dennis, and we will see how that works. Okay, so now here I am logged in as Dennis Johnson, and you notice I am able to clock in, and when I go to click the clock in button, I get this cool little menu, and this menu asks me if I want to clock in as a host, a waiter, or a chef. So all of my positions appear in front of me as an employee, and then I just select the one that I'm clocking in as. So in this case, I am clocking in as a host. And so each time the employee who has been assigned multiple positions and multiple pay rates, each time they go to clock in, they will be able to clock in for the correct position and therefore get paid the right amount for that work. Now, if I go to my hours tab as Dennis, let's say I'm going to clock out now. And so this 1 minute of time I recorded as a host has been added to my time blocks. If I were to now clock in as a waiter, this will allow me to then see my time as a waiter. So once this triggers a minute, I can clock out and it will show a time block 1 minute as a host, and my next time block would show 1 minute as a waiter. And actually, as the admin in this situation, when you look at your pay period reports or time tracking reports, you will be able to see the different roles an employee was clocked in as when they clocked in and clocked out. And this will help you to view whether employees are being honest, when they clock in, were they actually doing that role. So I'm going to go ahead and clock out here. And again, you'll see now I have 2 time blocks, one as a host and one as a waiter. And those will be tracked and in every instance and will be shown on things like the time tracking report and the pay period report. So now that you know about role-based pay, you can implement it in your company, assign employees different positions and pay rates, and allow them to clock in and track their time and get properly compensated every time they do it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us feedback if you have any. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.